concern mounts over the fate of those estimated 200 hostages in Gaza. The Israeli foreign minister said today that IDF troops will soon see the inside of Gaza, signaling an imminent ground invasion. All this comes as conditions inside Gaza are now described as a hellscape by those trapped inside. Joining us now is IDF spokesperson Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Conricus. Thanks so much, Colonel, for joining us. There's a deal in place right now. There are 20 trucks of food and medicine ready in Egypt to go through the Rafah gate a few miles from the border. The last report was that Egypt was still waiting to hear from Israel about a 6-hour, window with no airstrikes. Have you arranged for that window to happen?
Hi, good evening, and thank you for having me. As far as I'm aware, no. But whatever will be decided by the Israeli government and the Egyptians, and I suppose that there's American involvement as well, the IDF will execute whatever is decided. Our concern is, on the Israeli side, is that Hamas will try to take some or all of that humanitarian aid and use it for its military purposes. And we will definitely be watching what's going on. And if Hamas tries to take it, as they have done with fuel that they stole from UN premises earlier in the week, we will stop it.
Surely, though, you must be aware of the optics of this all. There are all these protests over the conditions inside Gaza. Wouldn't it be better to allow the aid in, even if Hamas does manage to get its hands on some of it?
Optics are important, but reality on the ground is more important. And the sad reality in Gaza is that there is fuel, there is water, and there is food, only it's stockpiled by Hamas, and they are not giving it to the civilians. And it almost seems as if the only thing that they're not running out of is rockets.
I'm curious, we continue to see widespread protests throughout the world and in the Middle East after that blast at the hospital in Gaza, the blast that Hamas continues to blame on Israel without providing any evidence, and despite the fact that you have provided evidence that it was Islamic Jihad. Do you think, in hindsight, that you waited too long to issue a denial, waited too long to show any proof that it was, in fact, a rocket misfire from the Palestinians?
Yeah, I think it was Winston Churchill who has been accredited saying that a lie can travel the world twice over before the truth gets its pants on. It takes time to verify information. It takes time to make sure. We're in a chaotic environment. There's a war going on, and we wanted to be absolutely sure of what we were presenting, that there were no airstrikes, no artillery, no Iron Dome interceptions, and nothing else that we fired in the area. And we also wanted to tell the world what we thought that it was, not only what it wasn't, that it wasn't us. So that takes time. And I think if anything should have been done differently with regards to that rocket that exploded on the hospital, it's how international media reported on it. And I think that was absolutely reckless, not necessarily NewsNation, but many well-established and big outlets around the world, BBC and many others. They went on and they took Hamas information, Hamas lies and propaganda, and publicized them as if they were the truth. That is one of the reasons why there are now people around the world in the Middle East who are fooled by Hamas propaganda and are taking to the streets, doing the dirty work of a terrorist organization in Gaza. And I think that is very regrettable, and some newsrooms should be having hard discussions about how they collect information and how they verify it from Gaza.
That is absolutely the case. There's been a lot of criticism here in the U.S. about several news organizations really screwing that up in the early hours and going very quickly with the Hamas narrative on what caused that blast. Finally, I just want to ask you, we heard yet again today from senior IDF officials that we will soon see the inside of Gaza. You've had hundreds of thousands of troops and tanks at the ready and have been saying almost daily the ground invasion is imminent. When do you think that really might happen?
Yes, it's a question of when, not if. It will happen. Our troops will continue with that type of operations at the timing that we see fit, according to our strategic aims and according to the battlefield, the enemy, our preferences, and many other variables. At the end of this war, Hamas will be dismantled. our hostages will be brought home, and the security situation in southern Israel will facilitate the rebuilding of our communities to the beautiful, flourishing communities that they were. And this time, next time, they will be safe from these vile terrorists that have been harboring in the Gaza Strip for all too long.
Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.